Take your Bibles, please, to 2 Samuel chapter 18. Second Samuel 18. Let me run you back to chapter 14 to get you the beginning of the story here. Forgive me. Chapter 14. Let me tell you about chapter 18 and just read to you chapter 14. I'm in verse number 24 of chapter 14 of 2 Samuel. Chapter 2 Samuel 14, verse 24. And the king said, "Let him turn to his own house, and let him not see my face." So Absalom returned to his own house and saw not the king's face. But in all Israel there was none to be so much praised as Absalom for his beauty. From the sole of his foot even to the crown of his head there was no blemish in him. And when he polled his head, for it was at every year's end that he polled it, because the hair was heavy on him. Therefore he polled it. He weighed the hair of his head at 200 shekels after the king's weight. That's 5 pounds of hair. That's a lot of hair. I wouldn't know what that felt like. But imagine putting a 5-pound weight on top of your head. That'd be, man, that's a lot of hair. Verse 27, and unto Absalom were born 3 sons and 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar, and she was a woman of fair countenance. So Absalom dwelt 2 full years in Jerusalem, and saw not the king's face. The backstory to this is simply this. It's not simply, but he had a half-sister, and he had a brother by the name of Amnon. And he had such a passion, a wicked passion for his half-sister, that he just was grieved and just sick over it. He had so much passion for one that he should not have passion for. But it was the full sister of Absalom. He wound up, as you know, with her, violated her. She begged him not to, but it happened anyway. Absalom waited 2 full years. David never reacted to this, never did anything about it. 2 years later, he has his brother killed, arranged a party, invited everybody to it, and at the party, he has his brother Amnon killed. He flees the kingdom, flees from his father, and is gone for several years. And he comes back and he tries to get Joab to talk his father into letting him come back. And so his father does agree, and Absalom does come back. And the passage I just read you is this boy, Absalom. After his return, he returns, and the Bible speaks of him and how in verse number 15, verse number 1, and it came to pass after this that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so that when any man that had a controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called on him and said, "Of what city art thou?" And he said, "Thy servant is one of the tribes of Israel." And Absalom said unto him, "See, thy matters are good and right, but there is no man deputed of the king to hear thee." Absalom said, moreover, "Oh, that I were made judge in the land, that every man which hath any suit or cause might come unto me, and I would do him justice." And it was so that when any man came nigh to him to do him obeisance, he put forth his hand and took him and kissed him. And on this manner did Absalom to all Israel that came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. And it came to pass, let's see this, after 40 years. That's quite a span that he's been doing this. 40 years. That Absalom said unto the king, I pray thee let me go and pay my vow which I have vowed unto the Lord in Hebron. For the servant vowed a vow while I abode in Geshur and Syria, saying, if the Lord shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord. You know the story. He had won the heart of the people. Eventually, he's a young man that rebels against his father, has great force, great popularity with the people. What a beautiful, the Bible speaks of him, but what a beautiful young man he was. And obviously, at this point, is not really a young man. This is 40 years into it. But he's built quite a group of people on his side, as you can imagine. And of course, he rebels against his father. His father David flees the city. And we find Absalom as the hair now is stuck in a tree. David had so begged his forces not to kill Absalom. As you know, he's stuck in a tree. His mule leaves him, and he's stuck there by the hair. It's reported to Joab. And Joab, of course, the Bible calls them darts, but he put darts into him, of course, and killed him. The phrase that always sticks in my mind is David, as he cries, Absalom, O Absalom, my son Absalom, would to God I had died for thee. He loved this boy. He was a beautiful child and a outstandingly handsome. It says there was no blemish in him at all. He was just absolutely the picture of a handsome, flowing hair, beautiful head of hair. What a guy, what a leader. Had a way with people. The people loved him. Personality plus, he had it all. When we think of the man Absalom, it's not those things that we think of, is it? We think of rebellion. We think of murder of Amnon. We think of a conniver. Remember Joab? He was trying to get Joab's attention. Joab would not go and talk to his father and try to get him to, because his father hadn't seen him yet. And he wanted to see his father. And I blame that one on David. But you understand, he just so wanted to see his dad and get his dad's approval, but couldn't do it. And so Joab doesn't pay him any attention. And you remember what happened. He sets Joab's field on fire. That got his attention. And so Joab went to his father, and he did see David. But just a conniver, deceitful, traitor to his father, his country, and his God. And he's hung from a tree, and we know that in the scriptures that if you hang in from a tree, it's the accursed. Here he is, hanging from a tree, the accursed of God, as he dies hanging from a tree by his hair. No doubt, his personality plus, intelligent, gifted, son of the King David. What more could you have? I mean, think about it. I mean, it's not only the son of the king, but he's got every possible trait. Good-looking, personality, people loved him. He had an affection for people. He would greet people at the gate, and I don't think he was insincere about it. He would kiss them. And again, there was nothing wrong with what he was doing. It's just he was a very affectionate, passionate person. I mean, this man Absalom had everything that somebody would desire. And yet when we think of him, there's nothing generally good that comes to our mind regarding this young man with all of these traits, all of this personality, everything that you would desire and not have in some sense. This man had it. The tragedy is not what he was. The tragedy is what he could have been. All those gifts, all the talents, the personality, the looks, everything this man could have used for the Lord, but he did not. And he dies in a tragic way. We spend much time lamenting over what people have become. Amen? We do. We see young people that have been raised in Christian homes, and we watch them as they fall away. The falling away is not so much the issue, it's what could have been. Do you realize that Satan is a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour? Why does Satan want to draw you into sin? Why does he want to tempt you to sin? Do you think Satan really cares whether you sin or you don't? He doesn't care. He's not drawing you into sin so he can have the satisfaction of your sinning. No, it's not the satisfaction to him. It's that he's taking you away from God is what is bringing him satisfaction. You're not going to live for God. You're not going to do God's will. You're not going to reach people with Christ, for Christ. You're not going to accomplish what God made you to do. And so what does he do? He drags you and leads you into sin. He doesn't care about the sin. He doesn't care what sin. He just wants to drag you in it. Of course, he doesn't mind seeing you dead. A Christian father that should be influencing his children is not there. Why? Because of sin in his life. A Christian wife enamored by friends at work or drawn away, however it may be. And what happens is the tragedy, of course, the loss of their own lives, but all the places that they should be and the things that they should be doing that are not being done. It's really what the tragedy is. It's not just them. Your life is not just about you. Young people raised in church who rarely attend don't pass the torch of faith onto their children. Is it the tragedy that they sinned or that they went away? Yes, it is. But that itself is not the whole. That is only a piece of it. It's what God meant them to be that is lost. Think of how many people tonight are sitting at home. Christian people. There's probably more Christian people at home, and I'm not talking about this church. I'm talking about just across the board. There's probably more Christian people that are at home tonight than there are in church. Think about that in the context of tonight. Christian people that did not take the Lord's Supper tonight, did not honor the Lord, did not obey the Lord, missed the Lord's table, did not give that which he commanded us to do. And I'm not talking, this is a wonderful crowd tonight, but I'm not picking on our church. I'm just saying in general, that is what is happening. It's not that Christian people are off doing what they shouldn't be doing. That's only part of it. They're not doing what they should be doing. And so as we think about Christianity, bright young pastors, great preachers, great influence, lives wrecked and ruined. Is that sorrowful? Absolutely. Is it an embarrassment to Christianity? It's an understatement of the year. But what is the tragedy? They're not in the pulpit. Great gifts, great talents, great intelligent minds. What is the outcome? Who cares where they're at tonight? It's not where they're at, it's where they're not. And so when we see this man Absalom, I can't help but think everything that this man had to offer that never came to fruition. There's so many sorrowful stories of Christian people, young people. There's joy in being in a large church in some sense, but there's also greater disappointment in the same sense because the same thing is relevant in a larger church, and I think it's actually a little worse. I think you lose a higher percentage of young people in a large church than you do in a smaller congregation. And this is a wonderful, wonderful group tonight. But may I challenge you tonight, when you see people, we think of a man by the name of Elvis Presley. He was raised in church. I've told you the story, but Dr. Hiles had a radio program in Dallas, Texas, and he ran into Elvis on a elevator. It was just him and Dr. Hiles on the elevator, and he asked him about his salvation. And he said, I was saved as a boy, but I got away from the Lord. But he had a testimony of salvation. Is it what he did with his life? Fruitless life? How many people did he lead into immorality? How many people did he lead away from God with the music and all the things that he did? And they can call him whatever he want to call him. But for whatever degree his life was favorable in his own eyes, if he's in heaven today, he forever regrets what he did with the talent and the gifts that God gave to him. It's not what he did sing, it's what he didn't sing. He never sang in the churches and being a blessing. Could have had many things that he did. I realize he made some Christian albums, but of what value were they with a man that was living a sinful life? There was no testimony in those. It was almost sacrilege for him to make those albums. The fact that he liked gospel music is not noteworthy. What's noteworthy is that you live for Christ. And that he never did. Whitney Houston grew up in a Christian home. Great, phenomenal singer, famous. Of course, died, I believe, of a drug overdose as well. Many people have great opportunities, but I will tell you the greatest thing of all is people that miss the boat by making excuses. Many people have great gifts and talents that they didn't give to the Lord, but probably the greatest number of people that make excuses for why they're not serving the Lord. And all kinds of excuses, why I can't do this and why I can't do that. Around the world, we find that people are probably making excuses why they're not in church tonight, and they're making some kind of excuse. Well, it's just whatever. Fill in the blank. It doesn't matter. The old song called Excuses, right? In the summer, it's too hot. In the winter, it's too cold. And, they got the runny nose. And it's just, you can make your excuses every day. It's amazing how many people get headaches every Sunday. Boy, they can go out to lunch on Saturday. Boy, on Sunday, I got a migraine. My wife knows what I'm talking about. How do you describe that? It's just annoying, right? It's like, what is with that, right? You always get migraines on Sunday only. Quite remarkable. Thousands of people tonight are watching TV right now. Christians. Who cares? They weren't in church tonight. That's the sadness. They didn't honor the Lord. They didn't take the Lord's Supper. They didn't think of the cross. They didn't think of Christ and what he did in their place. Did not follow the commands of the Bible, and they're not here. We often take note of the great names that have fallen. But how many do we know or not know that have gotten away from the Lord and have not followed the Lord, have not lived for the Lord? Satan has one goal for you. He wants to destroy your life. But it's not about destruction. It's about keeping you from serving God. Young people, you have a bright future. Children standing up here tonight, you have a bright future. You're not your own. You've been bought with a price, the blood of Jesus. Serve him all your life. Give everything you have to him. I won't turn to it because of time, but in the book of James, you're going to find that people, God puts in a trial and a temptation in their life. Why? He's working this for their good. He's developing them into what he wants to be. And James talks about it, how they walk away from the Lord and they don't get through the trial. They don't get through the temptation. Do you understand when God puts you in a trial, there's a purpose to it? He is doing something in your life to move you to something that he wants you to do. And he's preparing you, and he's molding and making you. But if we quit because, oh God, you're not fair to me. If we quit, we never accomplish God's will for our lives. We took a test that God put us in, and we wasted. God doesn't put you through trials and tests and all these things so that he can form you, mold you, make you, put you in the refiner's fire, and turn you to the precious metal, the precious gold that he wants you to be for his work and his glory. But we're in the fire, and so we falter in the fire. And it's not the faltering in the fire. It's that you never became what God was preparing you for. You quit in the midst of the fire, and you never get to the destination. All of it is lost. All of it is waste. And you think, boy, that was just a hard thing that God put me through. But you quit in the middle of it, never achieving what God's goal, God's plan for you when he puts you in the fire. We take trial and turn it into temptation. instead of what God had for us. God is going to allow things in your life. Make sure that you are holding fast through those things so that the things that are causing you pain and suffering, the cross that you may bear, is coming to bring salvation to other people through your life, through your testimony. So as you think about the cross, can you imagine Christ quitting after all the beatings and all the things that happen? He never gets to the cross. He stands for all the shame and all the mockery and the ripping out of his beard and all this, but he quits before he gets to the cross. Oh, you'd say, my goodness, why would he do that? Same reason we quit in the middle of things. There's a cross and there's a crown. Jesus Christ paid the whole price. He went through the whole ordeal, far more than an ordeal. But he didn't quit at any point in time until he got to the cross. And he suffered and died on the cross. Why? That was the mission that he was sent for. And we would look at Christ and we'd say, how could you quit? You came to save mankind. How could you quit it? There's a lot of people dependent upon you to get them the gospel. Let's be faithful. It's not that we fall for things. It's that we don't achieve what God has called us to do. Young people, your life is so valuable to the cause of Christ. Don't waste it. We see this gifted, beautiful person in Absalom with all the gifts and talents and looks that you would want. And yet all we think of is a rebellious brat, killed his brother, all these things, instead of what should have been for this young man by the name of Absalom, who died in an awful way, accursed of God. I don't know what the Lord's done in your life tonight through the Lord's Supper. The message tonight, a short, simple message for you. Think about what you're doing that's going to keep you from not accomplishing what God has for you to do. Focus your life on getting to your goal in life. Christ made it to the cross, and he made it to the resurrection. Don't miss your date with what God has for you. Don't get drawn away into sin. It's not the sin. Of course, it wrecks your life and breaks our hearts. But it keeps you from serving God is what it does. And that's Satan's goal for you, stopping you from what God has for you. Let's all stand together. We'll have our invitation. Altar is open.